And it was only 3 weeks ago tonight that the Tua Tagovailoa concussion happened against the Bengals. He's now cleared, and we'll see him back on Sunday Night Football. Steelers at the Dolphins. Here's Tua from yesterday talking about the concussion that he suffered 3 weeks ago tonight against the Cincinnati Bengals.
The night it happened, obviously it was scary for all of us to see. Mm-hmm. Was it scary for you at the time?
I wouldn't say it was scary for me at the time, because there was a point where I was unconscious, so I couldn't, really tell what was going on. So, when I did come to and kind of realize what was going on, what was happening, I didn't think of anything, long term or short term. I was just wondering what happened. So yeah.
You remember much about that night?
Yeah, I remember the entire night up to the point where I got tackled. But yeah, after I got tackled, I don't remember much from there. Getting carted off, I don't remember that. But I do remember, things that were going on when I was in the ambulance and then when I arrived at the hospital.
It's harrowing to hear that, but that's what happens when you suffer a brain injury and you don't remember a lot about it. And you're not thinking, am I okay? How long will I miss? You're thinking of where am I and what happened?
Yeah, right.
I don't feel right. Something's wrong here.
Right.
What's going on? And I admire the fact that he's willing to step back into the fray. I hope that someone has explained to him that he has an obligation to himself to better protect himself, get rid of the football, hit the deck, look for a way to get out of bounds. Just don't take those ragdoll hits because you're not big enough. The physics are not in your favor when you're a smaller quarterback, and these defensive linemen are bigger and faster and stronger and can whip you around the way that he was. You can't do that to a guy who's 6'5" and 230. You can do it to a guy who's listed as 6'1". They got him at 217 now.
There's no way he's 217 anymore.
He's
Yeah.
got some, that was like
that was maximizing his weight in college.
Rocks in his pockets. He was originally 190 when he came out of Alabama, so I don't know where that 27 pounds is, but we saw it happen 3 weeks ago. We saw how the physics aren't in the favor of a smaller quarterback, and I hope he can avoid similar injuries in the future. It was a little irritating because I saw some reports on Sunday that, he's perfectly fine, and his brain scan is fine, and there's, everything's fine. Well, first of all, we don't know anything about what CTE or may not have because there's no way to know until someone is dead and you look at their brain tissue. So we don't know what long-term effects he's going to have, and we don't know how many more of these concussions he's going to suffer. There's going to be another Javid Best at some point where they're just not going to clear him.
Yeah, right.
Remember Javid Best? He had the concussion issues
out of California. He was explosive, an awesome player, yeah.
The Jim Harbaugh, Jim Schwartz confrontation game from October of 2011.
Right.
In that game, Javid Best, because he was great rookie year.
Yeah.
It just kind of fell and hit his head in his second season, and it didn't look all that bad, and he just never played again.
Right.
Couldn't get cleared after that. And I don't know what the magic number is. I don't know how many concussions before a doctor will just say to a guy, you're not allowed to get back on a football field again. But if I'm Tua Tagovailoa, that's my motivation. Someone explains to me, Tua, there's only so many more of these you can take before they just say you can't play professional football anymore, so you've got to do what you can to avoid them.
Yeah.
The problem is it also creates an even stronger temptation to say it's my back. That's hopefully we finally learned that we can only rely on a small handful of players to tell us the truth when they suffered a head injury. It's that small handful that doesn't have to worry about somebody else taking their place and never looking back. But for Tua, the worry now is, I don't know, there's a certain number of these where it's just, you just can't play anymore.
Yeah, especially if they're the aggressive nature or the type of ones we saw, right, against Buffalo or that. I mean, that's a different story. Or Buffalo or the Thursday night game against the Bengals. It's a different story. I mean, that's severe concussion. That's not like, oh, my bell got rung. That's like, oh, crap, this guy can't even walk. I mean, or he doesn't remember what the hell happened the rest of the day. That's different. That's even a different level of the normal bell rung. Oh, yeah, you hear ex-players go, I probably got 10 concussions in my career. Yeah, but none of them were to that extent, I'm sure like guys like my dad and Troy Aikman and John Elway, they're probably in double-digit concussions. But not like concussions like I'm drunk at the bar and I need somebody to drag me out to the cab to send me home. This was like, these were eye-popping. That was eye-popping that he came back in the game against the Bills and then played the next week. I mean, we were all shocked. So that's where it's there's a microscope on him now, too. And you're right. He's got to be extra, extra careful here. And they don't got a great O-line. It's a good O-line. It's not great. And now you got to play Pittsburgh, who still can get after the quarterback. And, that's where he's got to watch it. There's no doubt about it. Because I think another serious one like that, a staggering, stumbling one, maybe one or two more, there's going to be people that are going to start bringing that conversation up to him. Like, you sure you want to keep doing this? I think, for your long-term health, you need to reevaluate your stance on playing in the NFL.
It was 13 years ago this month that the NFL had its concussion epiphany forced upon it by Congress and started to implement more clear and aggressive rules for returning to play. And in those 13 years, and maybe even before that, I can't remember a 4-day window that was more problematic for the NFL as it relates to head trauma.
Yeah.
Between the clear and obvious to everyone but the two doctors involved head injury that he suffered against the Bills, and then the more graphic and troubling head injury just 4 nights later. And here he is for his first game back in prime time. All eyes on that game. And I suspect some people are going to be tuning in with that kind of morbid curiosity.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right.
But yeah.
I'd rather people tune in to watch a football game between two pretty good teams on a night when they're honoring the 1972 Dolphins and wearing throwbacks. There's a celebratory feel to this game.
Sure.
And there's some interesting subplots like Brian Flores back in Miami.
Yeah.
Stephen Ross's suspension over, coincidentally, at the same time. But there's going to be people. There's going to be people who are going to be like, I wonder what's going to happen to this Tua Tagovailoa that I've been reading about for the past few weeks. He's coming back to play in prime time against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to tune in to see what happens next. There's going to be people who feel that way.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. This is a big deal. It was a huge deal. The casual football fan who's not even tuned in all the time and may not even watch Thursday night, they knew about this. They did, and as I told you, I had a number of parents and people texting me that night that were concerned about it. And I think you are right. I think people are going to tune in to just go, what's this dude look like here? What's he look like? What's he going to look like the first time Cam Hayward drives him into the ground? Is he going to be okay here? And again, that's part of the sport. They are gladiators, and he knows what he signed up for, and he's going out there again to do it. And that's where, you always say it's a different human being that plays in the NFL. Most of them are borderline psychos, and I mean that in a good way. But they love to compete. They love the adrenaline. They love the big lights. It's the most macho of macho environments in all of our country, and it's people that pride themselves on that. And then it's also, I want to be out there with my team and my players and my friends and the camaraderie. And there's all those personal emotions, too, that play into a player's, mind and habits and everything there. So, again, I think we'll all be somewhat watching the game. And, every time he throws and gets hits, we're going to be like, ooh, I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. I mean, that's going to be part of the game here with Tua for at least the next few weeks for sure.
And two angles that are going to invite potential cynicism as this game approaches. Number one, Kenny Pickett, the Steelers starting quarterback, suffered a concussion on Sunday against the Buccaneers. Will he be cleared to play in that game just 1 week after? There was a time where if you suffered a concussion, you weren't playing the next game. That was the default. Now it's flipped the other way, where within a week you can get cleared to play. Will he get cleared, or will there be a concern about optics that keeps him out and keeps Mitch Trubisky in? And second, Chris, to bring together the two big storylines of the past few weeks, if you do hit Tua, is the referee going to pull a flag?
Yeah, right.
Is that force field going to be even stronger
Yeah.
when someone hits Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday night?
Yeah, I know. It's going to be on the referees' minds. They're humans. You're right. So that's a very valid point to kind of watch that. You couple that with the Kenny Pickett thing. It's kind of, I don't want to sound insensitive, but it's kind of like must-watch TV just from that angle alone, let alone, we want to see the 72 Dolphins and the Steelers and all of that stuff. But, I'd be lying, too, if I'm not intrigued to go, whoa, Kenny Pickett's going to play against Tua with that story? And he's coming off a concussion where he just hit his head on the ground, similar to Tua. I know he didn't stumble and stagger and do all of that, but I really thought with the Kenny Pickett situation, I thought maybe the NFL might just step in and be like, this game's on national TV and it's against Tua. Let's, hey, Mike Tomlin, Pittsburgh, I think Trubisky's the quarterback this week, right? Right? I mean, I'm kind of shocked by the developments we're seeing so far.
And we're seeing greater sensitivity to the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, and that's the person who, as a practical matter, has that go or no go. And I'll be surprised if he's cleared to play. And it does add to the overall intrigue of the game, and it will cause more people to tune in and just see what happens. There's curiosity. It's a big topic. Like you said, it's crossed over. Every year there's a storyline or two that crosses over beyond football, and this clearly is one of them. Let's take a break. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.